switch for you.
Perfect. So go ahead and we'll get started on the definition of state agency. There you go. So go back one.
Okay.
You're fine. So hopefully today we'll talk about what a state agency child is. We'll talk about the services that the district is required to provide, the KECSAC requirements and how funds are allocated, and MOA attachments because it's that time of year. And those are due to us here at KECSAC by September 15th. And then we'll talk about the overall timelines that some of our new administrators may not be aware of. To that way, we will make sure that you get the information to KECSAC that you need to get. And yesterday I worked on assigning some of our new administrators a mentor. So I'm waiting to hear back from a couple of our older administrators to that way we can connect. If you did not receive an email from me yesterday, just give it a couple days and hopefully I will have everybody assigned a new mentor. It's very helpful. It's very beneficial to have somebody that you can always shoot an email to or pick up the phone and call. But please always feel free to give us a call here at KECSAC. That's what we're here for, to support you in any way. And I know just from so many acronyms, so many reports, so much information, sometimes it can seem overwhelming. Oh, and by the way, you've got to try to educate students. So we want to make everything that we can do to help you and support you in any way. So please feel free to email us or call us at any time. And our new administrators, you will have a mentor too. So, okay. So today we're going to say, what is an MOA? An MOA is a Memorandum of Agreement. It's a document that your district signs off on and KECSAC signs off on, saying what it is that we're going to provide, what you're going to provide to both parties. So that way there's no misunderstanding, there's no confusion as to what's required if you are a KECSAC program. Did somebody have a question? Okay, I thought I heard something. So it's an MOA between your local school district and KECSAC. The district agrees to provide specific educational services. KECSAC agrees to provide supplemental funding to help provide those services. The district commits to developing a school calendar of 230 days. And then you have to provide 210 instructional days. So that's very important to note, especially for my new administrators that's on here watching. You will have to provide a 210 instructional day calendar. It doesn't matter, like some of our programs, how you get to the 210 days or in your total 230 days. We leave that up to each individual district. Like some districts try to do some in June and some in July. Some districts wait and say, okay, I'm just going to start really early in July and cover up, to cover my 210 instructional days. Work with your pupil personnel director. They're the person in your district that will help to develop your calendar. And that way, as long as you know the requirements, then he can help you design your calendar. Make sure that you have 210 instructional days and a total of 230 days.
Okay, quick question, Sherri.
Uh-huh.
So I've run into this before. So, for example, Fayette County's regular school calendar for student attendance for their whole district is 173. If you add the 33 days onto that, it comes up to 206. A lot of the problems are districts do their teacher contracts for their regular school year plus 33 extended days. And that causes a problem if they have to work 4 extra days and it's not in the contract.
So it can be equivalent, and what Fayette County does is the equivalent to get those days in. They may have a longer instructional day or anything to give you the equivalent of that. Because you're just trying to make sure that you have 1,062 instructional hours and the amount of days. The amount of days can be equivalent. They changed that several years ago.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the calendar days?
Yes, I've got a question. So our calendar does have the 210 days of instruction, but can you clarify what you mean by the calendar having 230 days? What do you mean by that?
So when we say you have to have 230 days total, that's your 210, that's all of your other PD days, opening, closing, everything totals up to 230 days. Unless you're a district that does some equivalency days based upon the fact that you have longer instructional days during the regular school year. But that gets you into the 230.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then also, one of our requirements and the district commits to is the fact that you will have 10 students to one teacher or 15 students to one teacher with an aide. And that, we have districts that will say, okay, for a couple of days, I had 16 students. Am I okay? Yes, you're okay. It's an average. We just want best practice. What's in our statutes and regulations is that you'll have 10 students to one teacher, 15 students to one teacher with an aide.
That's good.
And some days you may have a few extra, and that's okay. Yes, Chris, do you have a question?
What? Yeah, I finished mine. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
I think it was just somebody unmuted.
Might be a little side conversation, and that's okay too, because I know everybody has lots of hats to wear and lots going on. Okay.
I thought I was muted and I wasn't.
You
Sorry.
are fine. No worries. No worries.
I have a question on the aid thing.
I'm sorry.
I have a question on the aid on the ratio.
Uh-huh.
Does it matter if the aid's not school funded, or so our classroom aides are part of the children's home? Is that okay? Does that count as an aid as well? They're not employed by the school. Does that make sense?
I want to say that that's okay, but let me
Okay.
check to make sure, because I don't think the funding actually matters. It's the
Correct.
two bodies in there with the
Okay.
class. But let me check on that, Brad, to be sure, and I will shoot you an email.
Okay, thank you.
You're very
Can you
welcome.
give me that same email? Because I'm in that same situation. Amy Gross at Knox.
Okay, I sure will, Amy. Let me just make a quick note of that to send you all that. I don't think it matters who pays for it, but I'm one of those people that I'm always like, let me check to be sure. Let me check to be sure to that way we'll know. All right, we're ready to move on, Katie. And state agency funds are only supplemental funds. They're to help with extended school calendar, and evidently I can't talk today because of this cold. I keep stuttering on extended school calendar and the small classroom side. These students that are in your classroom still provide or produce your SEEK dollars, your IDA dollars, any other dollars that they would produce if they were at the A1 school. They're still producing those dollars. So the KECSAC money is just a supplemental money to help cover the extended days and the smaller classroom sizes that we require as part of being a KECSAC program. They're not intended to cover the total cost of operating a state agency program. And also the MOA is for a period of 12 months. So we send those out generally in May, and you have until September to get those back to us. They're a contract that covers from July 1 to June 30th. school year for everyone, so. Okay. Next screen. And if you look at our chart here, one thing that I really love about working here at KECSAC and working with Ronnie and all the team is he works very hard to be transparent about everything that we do. And if you look on our website or if you look on any of our PowerPoints, we talk about the funding that the legislators provide to us and how it's dispersed to everyone. So if you look at the first bubble for 24-25, the General Assembly gave us $12,500,000 for this operating year. That money passes through the Department of Education. They do not take anything off the top of that money. That money is then dispersed to our school districts, and it provides KECSAC with their operating budget. So if you look down at the bottom two, you see that $11,378,136 goes to our actual school districts and our program. Our operating budgets that covers everything from the gift cards that we buy you all to everything that goes on here at KECSAC, the special allocation targeted funds. Those are money that we had aside to give to you all, some of it, and then the rest of it is just for our operation of having a KECSAC office, and that's 920 that passes through DJJ and then comes to KECSAC. And DJJ also is like KDE. It just passes through those two organizations. They do not take any funds from that. And anywhere on our website, you can see this information. Again, like I said, most of the PowerPoints, we will have that because Ronnie is adamant at being very transparent about how our money comes into our office and how it's sent back straight out to our districts to help support our programs. Okay, next slide. All KECSAC districts receive supplemental funding, and it's based on the ADM of the program, regardless of the type of program. So that's why it's very important that you get your ADM numbers correct. And Katie, I think if you hit that again, there's like 2 or 3 more bullets on this slide. There it goes. All programs must verify from their membership report that's in IC how many students they have on the following 3 dates. October 15th, December 2nd. That's our huge collection of data. The census reporting day is December 2nd, and then March 14th. So those 3 days are the days, that snapshot that we look at your program and see how many students you have in your program. It's very important that you keep your data in IC clean, that you don't have duplicates. It makes your reporting day much easier for you and for us. If once a month you go in and say, oh, okay, I've got 2 kids that I need to do something about. I should not have duplicate enrollments. Do that throughout the school year, and that makes the reporting days much easier for you all. And just a note on how that verification works, please do not send any membership reports in the mail. I still have a few programs that will send either Christine or I a membership report. We have access to IC. You do not send the membership reports because sending an email is unsecured, and all of that has the students' demographics, everything on the membership report. So please don't send those through email. What we will do, we will look inside Infinite Campus on October 16th, 17th, and see how many students you had on October 15th. We will send you an email and say, can you please verify that you had 10 students? Or can you please verify you had 15 students? And you will send back to us, yes, that is what I had. And if there's an issue of duplicate students, we'll say, can you please clean up your data? prior to us doing a count because we do not count duplicate datas. Also, I will be doing in November, probably a webinar on census reporting because that's where we get all of our information for our census report that we provide. And we want to make sure that we're doing good, clean data for that. And so there'll be another webinar probably at the end of November, middle of November to do that. So any questions about your membership report and how you need to verify that? Okay. How funds are allocated. KECSAC staff does the math to establish the per student rate. Several different calculations go into that, but the total, the ADMs for all of our DCBS, DJJ, and mental health day treatment programs. And then we divide that by the allocation less our operating budget and administrative fees by the total number. So if you look down at the bottom of this page, you can see in bright red letters, this is what your 24-25 per child allocation is. It's $7,336 because, everything is, we get a pot of money, we disperse that pot of money to you all, and it's divided based upon your ADMs after we take out our operating budget and our administrative fees. So if anybody in your district asks you what's your per child rate for this year, it's $7,336. Any questions? Okay. The district reimbursements. Districts must submit expenditures to KECSAC quarterly in the munis format. It's very important that you do your reimbursements, and it's very important that you spend your money. We have a couple programs that did not spend all of their money, and there's always something that you can buy for the kids, whether it be computers, whether it be new desks, with anything that your program needs, you need to be spending this money on, and you need to be sending a reimbursement for that. Please do not wait until the end of the year to send your reimbursements in, because if you don't send them in, then you won't get any money back throughout the school year. Try to do this in a quarterly fashion. That way, that's easier on you. That way, you have money flowing back to the district. If you don't submit something, then we don't send any money. We hold the money until the end of the school year until you submit it. So it's always a good practice to send those in a timely manner. And then that way you're getting money back for your district each quarter. And the dates are October 25th, January 25th, April 25th, and July 15th. KECSAC staff will review the munis report for each program to ensure funds are spent appropriately. Funds may be used for direct labor, supply, subcontracts, incidental expenses needed to perform the work at the program. There's also a funding matrix, and we've linked that in this PowerPoint for you if you have any questions on what's an allowable expenditure or not. Christine Smith in our office is a great resource if you're not sure about is this an allowable expenditure or not. Shoot her an email, give her a call, either way, and she can help you walk through that. She's been doing it for years, so she's a great resource to have on that. If you have any questions on something being an allowable expenditure, and she can also help you if you're having any issue with your munis reports as far as like when to get them into KECSAC. So. And here's her title, but Associate Director of Finance, that's Christine Smith, the one I just referred you to, will submit quarterly reimbursement requests to KDE. You send them to her, she sends them to KDE, and KDE will reimburse the district for funds expended during the quarter. Again, we can't stress enough that it's important to spend that money as the school year goes along and not wait until the very end or to think, oh, you get to the very end and it's like, oh, I've got $10,000 I didn't spend. And then it's like, now what? So make sure you're spending the money that's allocated on our students. There has to be something in your program that you need for your students. Spend that money and send your reimbursements. And we'll make sure that the whole process works smoothly. Thank you. Next one. All teachers in KECSAC funded programs must meet Kentucky certification requirements. Just because you work in an alternative program or a KECSAC program, the teacher requirements are the same. So whatever the requirements are to have a teaching certification in the state of Kentucky, then you will do the exact things. All educators new to state agency must attend the new educator training. The training is actually being held on August 30th at I think it's Central Bank location. I started to call it Rupp Arena, but now they're calling it Central Bank location there in Lexington. It will be this Friday. Hopefully any new educator in your program will be able to attend this. If not, at least one of your new educators. I know some programs says their whole staff is new, so that makes it a little difficult to send, everybody at one time. But you just want to make sure that they get the new educator training. Katie does a wonderful job at preparing, having some professional develop that. And we do a great job of providing some overall conversations about KECSAC to help everybody get more familiar with what KECSAC is and how we operate. Any questions?
I'll just say, for those of you on here that are coming on Friday, I'll be sending out the room location at the Central Bank.
I'll call
Center,
Marty.
parking information. And again, we know you can't empty out your whole building. We understand that. We'll post the resources from that day online, and I would just encourage you to have those folks review that, or please share back, what you've learned. So.
Okay, Sherri, quick question. I'm here, Audrey Grievous. So all of their teachers would have the new teacher training, correct? Because they're all a brand new program. And she already has a bunch of people out on Friday already. So she's worried about the safety of her children in this building with a bunch of subs. Can she send a third of them this year, a third next year, and the third the next, or how should they handle that?
So they can do it, some of it'll be recorded, and Katie, I'll let you speak to that, how you're going to do that. Is all the sessions going to be recorded or?
No, they're not going to be recorded, but Dr. Lindsay is coming. I know she's registered, right? Felicia Lindsay is with you guys, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I know she's registered. So if you can have a teacher or two attend, just to kind of
She is registered, but she is not going to be able to attend that day.
Oh, okay.
Because we have so many people.
So Ellen, what we do, it's always about the safety of the students.
Yeah.
You should never send too many people out of your building that you don't feel like your students are safe. We can work with you, have as many of your teachers come as that is safely possible for them to attend. Other people can take information back. We can work with you on to get that. If somebody come this year and somebody come next year, that's fine.
Administrator, if you go.
No, because Katie's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we would. It's your discretion, how your
Right.
building should be running. We wouldn't want to have any say in that. So if there's some folks you could send, that's great. And we're all here. You can always reach out to us for questions anytime.
Any other questions? So now we're talking about KECSAC requirements. The district must designate an administrator to be the instructional leader of the program. They may be a lead teacher, they may be a principal, they may be a district personnel. It looks very different when you think about all the different types of programs that we have. It looks very different. So one may be a lead teacher, one may be a principal that is assigned specifically to that program. And then, like, for example, in Hardin County, he sits at the central office, and then he has people under him that's, does the day-to-day work, but he's listed as the lead person. So it looks very different at each program. On this, we always tell you, there has to be somebody designated. And then when Katie does the directory, she lists that person in the directory. So we always just need to know who should be our point of contact for your program. And some programs may have 2 points of contact they want it to list. That's fine too. But just somebody has to be designated as a school administrator to be the instructional leader of the program.
And for directory and contact list purposes, a lot of programs will have a staff person who, while they might not be the assigned principal, they're the ones that do the majority of the reporting or things like that. Let us know, and we've got a list for those folks too, to make sure they get all the information on the emails and things like that. So if there's somebody that's crucial and you need them to get the information, but they're not the principal, let us know and we'll make sure they get it too.
Right. If somebody handles the day-to-day operations, just give us their name also, that's fine. We can have an extra name instead of not having the right person get the information. Okay, we're ready to switch, Katie. Designated school administrator must participate in 2 statewide meetings of State Agency Children Administrators Association. Again, here's one of those acronyms, the SACSA. You'll hear, anything in Kentucky always has an acronym, but we'll call it the SACSA meeting. And the first one is going to be held on September 13th, and it's going to be in E-Town. Our second one is March 7th, and it is held virtually. If you are designated as the administrator of the program, you need to be at that meeting on September 13th. And then you can do the spring one virtually. Any questions about that? And Cindy is the contact if you have any questions about the SACSA meeting in Elizabethton. E-Town. Sorry. Again, talking about requirements. When possible, the school administrator should participate in the treatment planning conference and the team meetings. Sometimes the school administrator designates someone else to be in on the treatment team meetings, but it's always a great idea if your school personnel and your treatment team personnel work together for the good of the student and talk about, let's make a plan for this student. So when possible, it should be the school administrator. If not, make sure you have somebody designated to sit in on those treatment conferences and team meetings. That way, everybody has a very clear picture of what's going on with that student versus, oh, this is just happening treatment-wise, or this is just happening educational-wise. Everybody needs, it's a team, and everybody needs to be working in the best for that student. So it always helps to have people invited to each of the others' meetings. You must maintain an average pupil ratio of no more than 10-1 without an aide or 15-1 with a classroom aide. And this is like we talked earlier. All of our KECSAC programs are required to have a 10-1 and a 15-1 with an aide. Okay. Districts must develop a professional development plan for all certified staff working at the state agency programs. Teachers and administrators must attend the new educator training That's what we were just talking about. And you recommend that 3 days of extended calendar be used for training specific to at-risk. And the reason that we would like for everybody that works with our students to attend something that's for at-risk students is because every district has all kinds of PD. And we hear over and over, well, this is very relevant to us, or this is not relevant to us. So try to make sure throughout the school year that you do have some training that is specifically for your staff at your program. If we can be of assistance, Katie does a wonderful job of getting some PD. Let us help you arrange some training. If you have something there within your district that you want that's that, just let us know. We'll try to help with that. But you just want to make sure that you have professional development that is relevant to you and to your staff, because that will benefit your students. Okay.
Sherri, can I
Again,
make a little comment too?
uh-huh.
I don't know if everybody, some will know and not, that all of our DHH, well, the detention centers in the YDC are going through a federal investigation through the Department of Justice. And one of the big things they were asking was, what specific special education professional development have your special ed teachers been through? It was kind of sketchy across the state. Let me just put it that way. So if you are a principal and you have a special ed teacher in your building, you can go to any of the special ed co-ops. Ours is CKEC here in the Central Kentucky area, but there's others across the state. And if you're a great principal out there, I'm sure you would let a teacher go to a very specific SPED training that fits their needs. They're looking at SPED teachers that do not have special education training in that area. So that's just a hint I'm giving everybody to. CKEC is having new ARC chairperson next week, and then they're having small mini sessions that I think are 30 minutes long, once every Monday and Wednesday throughout October and November on how to write an IEP.
And Ellen brings up a really great point. Your special ed co-ops or your regular co-ops throughout the state are a tremendous resource if you utilize them. I often think they're not used as much as they should be. I know OVEC, they offer several IDA trainings. So please look at their at the co-ops for their trainings. They do a great job. If there's anything, as Ellen said, as part of the investigation, if there's any training that we need to provide, please let us know, and we'll make sure that we work on getting that training for our programs, because we're all in this together and we all want it to work out. So anything we can do to assist in that training, let us know. Develop an IPI of instruction, individual plan of instruction for each youth. You can use your ILPA. We try not to make people do duplicate work. So, if a student is in an alternative program, it's required that they have to do an ILPA. So we let that go for the individual plan of instruction. If a student comes into your program and they are a special needs student, make sure you have an up-to-date IEP. Make sure you have your ARC meeting because you're doing a change of placement. If the student doesn't have an IEP and you feel like the student may need one, then work with your DOS, your Director of Special Ed in your district. They are a wonderful resource and can help you through each individual step that needs to take place. If you have a student that you feel like might need an IEP and currently doesn't have one, but it's so important when we have a change of placement to always keep in mind that we do have to have an ARC meeting, and that we do need to make sure that each student's IEP is up to date and current. So keep that in mind. Every time a student comes into your program, look at the dates on their IEP. If they have an IEP, they do not have to do an individual learning plan addendum. So if they have an IEP, you don't have to have an ILPA. So any questions about that? Okay, moving on. All youth must have a formal or informal academic assessment within the first 30 days of placement. The reason being, we want to see where the student is at when they come into our programs. And I know some of our programs are very short term and some requirements, are a little harder to meet than others. But this is good information for us to have and for you to have. Where is the student at when they come into their program, and where are the student at when they leave our program is the reason for the assessment. And then just because a student comes into our program, all the requirements that take place for assessment in the A1 schools still follows that student in our programs. Sometimes people think, oh, well, I'm an alternative program. I'm a KECSAC program. I don't have to do these assessments. Yes, you do. Just because you're an alternative program doesn't mean that you don't have to do the same state assessments that any other public school student is required to take. So keep that in mind. Okay, next slide. School records, IC makes this so much easier, but we still have comments about issues, don't get the records in time, or this, program doesn't send records. We're all trying to do the best we can. So we want to make sure that our records, it's requirement of 5 days of transferring to that new school. Anytime that you have a kid come in and out of your program, you need to be very conscious of saying, we've got to get all this information out with that student, because it makes it really hard, because our kids are so transient when every time, they're going from program to program, and if the records are not following them, or inadequate or incomplete records are not following them, then sometimes our students are penalized because of that. They may not have all the grades they need, or their IEP may not be there at the same time. Make sure that we're transferring all records within 5 days. That helps our programs, that helps our students. Records within Infinite Canvas may meet these requirements unless written records are specifically requested. I think everybody is on the student information system, in the state of Kentucky. So IC does work for that. Sometimes our kids will move out of state or be sent out of state. So, still get those records to those people within 5 days. That benefits our students. Any questions? All right, moving right along.
I've got one, Sherry,
I can't imagine that, Ellen.
If your kids, so in Infinite Campus, when you go over to the tab that has the ILPAs, there is a little thing at the top where you can scan documents into. So highly recommend, if a child is doing online instruction and they're on Algebra 1, they're on Unit 3, Lesson 4, please run that off and scan that into that file, so the next school that they can go to, they know exactly where that child left off on that class, and they don't put them in Algebra 1 to start all over again.
And Ellen makes a really good point. The more information that we can share about our students as they move from program to program, it just benefits the student. And you can upload anything into the ILPA. So it takes a little effort. I know everybody's really busy, but it's so beneficial for that student, because it's so frustrating for them if somebody tries to make them take something over and they look at the staff and say, I just completed that at the program I was at last week. So Ellen brings up a great point. make sure, if we can, to upload documents in the ILPA, and that goes with that student. So just keep that in mind, when you are sending these students from program to program. If you can, send as much information as possible. And thanks, Ellen, for bringing that up, because it's very important to our kids, because they get very frustrated. When we have our student panels, that's one of the conversations that they talk about, is having to do stuff over when they go from program to program.
And please assure that your special ed teacher is locking the documents before where registrar sends them, because if not, they won't go. So if there's a bit plan, anything like that, conference summary that you have open that you haven't locked, make sure that they lock it before the records go with them. If not, they will not transfer an Infinite Campus.
And that goes for the IEP and the ILPA. They have to be locked. And there's data standards that walk you through that if you're unfamiliar with that. Again, I suggest you work with your DOS, your Director of Special Ed in your district, or somebody that has been there before if you have any questions about that, because it's better to ask up front than to try to do something and to lose a record that a student has had for years. So just make sure, if you're not sure what to do with a record, look at your data standards that go along with your ILPA, look at your data standards that go along with your IEP. And there's always somebody at your central office level, and there's always somebody that can help you with the ins and out of Infinite Campus if you're not familiar. So another document that KECSAC is required is called the Educational Passport. Years ago, they decided that we can use what's in Infinite Campus may serve as the passport, so you don't have to do one additional more document. So the ILPA will serve as this. The student records will serve as this. All of this information is in IC, so we're not going to require anybody to do duplicate work. We're ready for next one. Now we're going to talk about the MOA, and I've got a copy of it. I don't know, you probably can't see it, but it's just called the Kentucky Education Collaborative for State Agency Children Memorandum of Agreement Overview. And this document is out on our website. We're just going to talk briefly about the different attachments. This is due to KECSAC on September 15th. If you're having any issue with doing your document, just shoot us an email, give us a call, and Christine or I, either one, can help you with that, with any question that you may have with your MOA. The attachment 1 is about your budget. The district must submit the total educational budget for the program, and it has to be in a munis format. The budget must include any funds that are allocated for that program. So some people will say, well, the only thing I use for my program is the KECSAC money and SEEK dollars, and that's okay. But some people go into really detail and say, I get funding sources from 5-6 different people to operate my program. And that's more of a true reflection of what is actually happening. So, we always want our documents to tell the story as what it is. So just keep that in mind when you're preparing your budget. Next slide.
And I went ahead and posted the URL to our funding page in the chat, and you can find all of these documents and many other useful ones there on that page.
Thank you, Katie. And like Katie said, our funding page, anything that we're talking about with funding will be on that page. So okay. We're ready for attachment 2. A comprehensive budget. District must submit a comprehensive annual budget in the munis format. Again, if you're not sure what this is, what we're talking about here, your finance officer in your central office can help with this. Christine Smith here at KECSAC can help you with this. We want to know what your budget looks like. And on that document that,
Oh, Lord.
the whole MOA will tell you it's just a comprehensive annual budget. That's what attachment 2 is. So just make sure that you look at that if you have any questions. And some of my new people, if you are not have access to last year's MOA, let Christine or I know, and we can send you last year's document. And that sometimes helps you to know, because I have programs that will ask me, Sherri, what was it that they used last year? Because I know when you're brand new, it's a lot of information and a lot of different terms that people are throwing at you. So if you have any questions at all about it, just give us a call or email. Okay, we're ready for 3. So school calendar, I will tell you, since being here at KECSAC, I used to do school calendars at KDE when I first got there. Make sure you have an opening day, make sure you have a closing day, make sure you have 4 PD days, 4 holidays on that calendar. And then your 210 instructional days and a total of 230. Those are the things that I look at when I look at attachment 3 about your school calendar. It's recommended that your extended calendar, those extended days, be included in Infinite Campus. But I know, like, our larger districts, Fayette, Jefferson especially, they just copy their calendar for all their schools. And so it makes it a little hard when you want to do something different. But it's just a recommendation that we have, is that if you can, it makes it nice if you put your extended calendar in there in Infinite Campus, to where that way, if students are coming or going, and all of your information is in IC. But I also understand that some of our larger districts just push out one calendar for the whole entire district. So I understand that. That's the major things that we look for on the calendar, is to make sure that you're meeting all the calendar requirements that are set forth. Okay. Attachment 4. Your makeup plan. All programs, all schools are required to have a makeup plan if you miss instructional days. So again, how are you going to make up the days that you miss? You have to have your 210 instructional days. So just have a plan in place for that. Attachment 5 is your seat calculation. It's your worksheet. It's going to have your basic SEEK on there. It's going to have your at-risk add-ons and your disability add-ons. If you have any questions about this page, make sure to shoot Christine Smith an email or give her a call about that. She can help walk you through the numbers that you need on this page. Attachment 6. Interagency agreement. If you're a DCBS or DJJ program or a mental health day treatment, you will have an interagency agreement with DCBS or DJJ or mental health. Those need to be attached with that to make sure that everybody, again, an interagency agreement is just outlining what everybody agrees to. So we like to see and make sure that everybody has, if you're a DJJ program, that you have signed a contract with DJJ and also with us. So that way we know that everybody is meeting all the requirements that they're required to do. Any questions about any of this so far? Okay, attachment 7. Attachment 7 is a program improvement plan. It's a current program improvement plan that is specific to the individual program and addresses the needs of the state agency children. And we also have samples on our website. And Katie, you can put a link to that for us also. The biggest thing with program improvement plan is it is what you feel like is going to be your goal that you're going to work on with your students for that current school year. A lot of our students have issues or delayed with reading and math. So a lot of our programs use math and reading as their goal that they're going to work on for the 24-25 school year. However, I would just encourage you not to just copy and paste every school year with the same thing, because we want to know what it is that you're doing in order to help the student with those math scores. What are you doing to help that student with those reading scores? And if every year you write the same thing, then okay, if it's not working, then let's try something new. So just think about that when you're working on your program improvement plan. What is it that you're going to do during the 24-25 school year? Have a very good, smart goal, a very specific goal that is measurable. So at the end of the year, you can say, oh, we achieved this, or we 50%, 90%, whatever. Make it a measurable, smart goal that you are going to work on attachment 7 is what we like to see there.
Hey, Sherry, a quick question on this one.
Uh-huh.
I've got academic goals within there, but one thing we're focused on is like classroom management type situations or the decrease of
Perfect.
daily. Is that appropriate?
Yes. Yes, you can put a treatment goal there, you can put an academic goal there, you can have two, like some people put 2 academic goals there. Whatever you feel like is best for your program and what you're going to work on, then that's what you would say, this is what we're going to work on 24-25.
Okay, thank you.
And it's okay to have treatment, behavior goals in there too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, attachment 8. So attachment 8 looks at, excuse me, this cold is killing me. Attachment 8 looks at what you did last year. So we have a program that didn't operate as a KECSAC program last year. So they will not have an attachment 8 because they don't have anything to look back on. Attachment 8 is saying how'd you do on what you did, what you had stated in attachment 7. That's all that attachment 8 is. It's upon previous year's program improvement plan. The report should include updates on goals set from previous academic years. So whatever it is that you said you're going to work on 24-25, then, next year when you're doing this, not this year, next year, you would say, okay, did I reach my goals of 24-25 when you're doing your 25-26? And that's even hard to say 25-26, but it's about what you did last year for attachment 8. And our last attachment 9, is a student transition plan. We get several different kinds of these. I think sometimes DJJ requires one specific document. DCBS may or may not require a document. But the biggest thing that we're looking for is, how is this student transitioning out of your program? Do you all follow up on the program? Does all of the student records been transferred? Is there a requirement? Like some people go into detail and say, we're on a phase system. When the student gets on the final phase, then that's how they're transitioned out. But we just want to have a good handle on how students are transitioning out of your program is what attachment 9 is. So try to, whether you do it by a written paragraph, whether you do it by sending a form, because some of you all send the form that you use, to that way we have a good idea that something is taking place to transition these students in and out of your program. Any questions on that? Okay, next slide.
Sorry, I was.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go
I
ahead,
do have a
Brad.
question on them. So really on a school base, we don't have any say in their transition plan. We're just kind of told what that they're leaving. Um, how do I approach that?
So, Brad, remind me your program's name.
Guardian Angel.
Okay. So with Guardian Angel and your kids are leaving your program and you may, some of our programs don't even get a notification. It's like the kid's gone, the next morning. But what do you have in place? Well, I make sure that I transition the records within 5 days.
Okay. Okay.
I make sure that the students' grades are all up to date and I'm ready to
Okay.
send them. If by chance you're a program that follows up on a kid once I did day treatment for years. And so part of my transition was I had my counselors follow up on the students for 6 weeks at the A1 school that they was at. So our programs are all so very different. I don't want to get too in the weeds about it, but there should be some process in place when a kid
Okay.
goes in and out of your program. Like when they come in, do you assess a kid? Do you put them on a face? Something like that. That's kind of what we're looking for in that attachment.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. And then the timelines, Katie's also going to put that up for us. At the end about all the different timelines for KECSAC, because we have a few and you'll see it right there. And if you don't have a copy of this, please email me and I'll make sure you get a copy of it. It's also on our website and she'll have a link to it. So that way that just gives you a quick snapshot. I even working here at KECSAC, I'll post one up on my wall or I'll have one on my desk just so I can remember, okay, it's August and this is what I need to be doing, or it's September and this is what I need to be doing. So just keep that it's one of those little cheat sheets to where you can have that.
I'm going to post
Thank
this link. My sharing is being funny. But there's the link to that document. And it's on our funding pages as well.
Yes. Okay. And if you can take me back to the PowerPoint. Sorry.
Wouldn't I love to? Now this is pinned over here. Hang on. Okay. One second. Sharing too many screens.
Stuff happens. Stuff
It
happens.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. And so the timeline, the district must notify us if they plan to open a new program by April 1st of each year. So, some of our different programs will send us an email and let us say, hey, we're going to have a KECSAC program, and they must be either tied in with DCBS or DJJ in order to have a KECSAC program. Okay, let's go ahead and switch that because I just noticed it's 11 o'clock and I want to be respectful. Existing programs must notify us if their rated capacity is going to change by April 1st. Your MOA will be mailed to the superintendent during May or into May sometimes. And then we must, and we've talked about this as we went through, that the MOA is due back to KECSAC by September 15th. Next slide. These are the statutes and the regulations that govern all the work that we do. Every document that we talk about or refer to is on our KECSAC website, and that's the link to that. And MOA is not complete until all attachments are submitted and all signatures are obtained. Your superintendent must sign off on your MOA. And what happens is if we do not have a signed MOA, we don't reimburse you. So it's very, very important in order for you to get your money And monies are always a carrot that we dangle in front of everybody. In order for you to get your money, you have to have a signed MOA and a completed MOA. So just make sure that we get those by September 15th. It's okay if there's a section that I have to send back to you and say, hey, can you revise this for me, or can you change this? That's okay. But just make sure that, we're trying to get those into us by September 15th. And we'll approve those and get those back out to you as soon as we can. And just keep in mind, we can't release funding without an MOA. So, next slide. Hopefully you got a few pointers that might be helpful as you start this journey as being a new administrator. We try to make sure that we're available and here for any questions or comments that you have. Please know that the training will be on Friday for new educators, and for our new administrators, the KECSAC training will be on September 13th. Any questions, any comments? We appreciate you all so much and all the work that you do. We know it's not an easy job, and we just want to be a resource and a help to any of you starting this new journey. If you look, here's our partners that we work with on almost everything that we do. Is the Department of Education, the Department of Juvenile Justice, Community-Based Services, and the Department for Behavioral Health. Again, thank you all for taking time out of your busy day, and we so appreciate all that you do for our students. Thank you.
We'll see you on Friday.
See you on Friday.
Bye.
Bye.